7-time Grammy winner and leader of Earth, Wind & Fire, a group that appeals to music fans of all genres and all ages. After spending more than 4 decades with this band that's approaching 100 million records sold, Philip is telling his story in his book, Shining Star, Braving the Elements of Earth, Wind & Fire. And while Philip's memoir is on bookshelves now, it's a story that continues on. Earth, Wind & Fire, or EWF, recorded a new hit album last year, and they're on the road this summer. Their tour includes a stop at the Chateau Saint Michel Winery on August 23rd. Philip Bailey, welcome to the Bob Rivers Show. Hi, Philip. How are you?
Hi, how are you? I'm very, very pleased to be on the phone with you guys, and just noted that I'll be in Seattle also in May, the Memorial Weekend with Ramsey Lewis there at the Blue Note or the other Jazz Club.
At Jazz Alley?
Jazz Alley.
Jazz Alley, yeah.
Oh, no, that'd be something to see. You and Ramsey.
I got to get my tickets now. That's a small venue, right?
Yeah, we'll be there that weekend, the 20, 23, 20, 24, 25.
You're going to have to do about 16 shows to take care of everybody who wants to see that.
It's a really fun show. We've done it in Japan and Korea and Bahrain.
Right.
And so it's a lot of fun.
All right, Philip, I grew up in New Haven, Connecticut, and Earth, Wind & Fire exploded onto the scene, and it was some of the most incredible music of my youth and young adulthood. And it was different. It was different than all of its contemporaries. And last night I started looking into your book, and I could not put it down. I stayed up like an extra hour and a half later than I should, reading about you and Maurice and the creation of this band. So it's a really compelling book.
Do you remember the New Haven Coliseum?
I do.
The roof caved in from the snow. Is that place still there?
No.
Nope, you ruined that one.
No, that place, that was a terrible, I don't know if you can remember individual venues, but that place was one of the most echoey, bad-sounding rooms in the world, I think.
Yeah, I remember we had to play there, though, because it was the biggest place that you guys had at the time.
That's right.
For a while, and so I remember having to do, because the show was so big with all the bells and whistles that we had to play.
Yeah,
and that venue.
And nothing was bigger than Earth, Wind & Fire for a time. But let's start at the beginning, when the band was formed. And if I remember the story correctly, because I was looking at it last night, Earth, Wind & Fire was started and then stopped and started again with really young, eager musicians. Tell me, and you were one of those eager musicians. You were 21 years old, and you were the protege of Maurice, right?
Right. The first band was Maurice is 10 years older than I, and the core members of the band. And so the original members were around his age or older. And it was a very Afrocentric band from Chicago, a bit heavy. The concept was there, but the whole energy and the philosophy that Maurice had for the band was served better to having younger musicians.
Right.
And I talk about that in the book, how that whole reform came about. And it was in that period that they asked me to be a part of the group, and I got several of the musicians that are part of the legendary Earth, Wind & Fire, Larry Dunn and Andrew Woolfolk.
And now are you the leader of the band now?
In Denver.
Yeah, and you're the leader of the band now, right?
Yes,
right.
Co-leader with Verdine. Mm-hmm.
Okay, now listen. You start this band. You exploded onto the scene, but it wasn't easy. Your very first gig, you're playing something called the Chitlin Circuit. Joe and I were talking about it. I want you to tell us what the Chitlin Circuit is. And in your first show, you got booed before you played a single note.
Oh, I mean, and when we say we got booed, that's putting it very light. We got stuff thrown at us, and there were expletives, that were, going on, as we sat on the floor in the lotus position, without flinching or moving, looking straight ahead and hypnotizing the audience.
So wait a minute, that was Maurice's strategy. He said, this is going to be rough because we're new, so I want you guys to go out there and sit in the lotus position, and when the curtain opens, I want you to sit there and do nothing. And he knew that the audience would boo because you were sitting there doing nothing, but he was building anticipation, wasn't he?
That's right. That's right. He was building the dramatics. And, in hindsight, after years later, honest to goodness, around just in the last few years, I was having dinner with Maurice, and he actually told me that he was shaking in his boots, but he did not let on, that there was any fear whatsoever of what he had told us to do. And so we did it, and lo and behold, it was a pivotal moment in the band's kind of like cementing conceptually who we were and who we wanted to be. And we had a meeting after that show that night at the hotel just to confirm affirmation that we really felt that night that we had something special.
And Maurice had this thing called the concept. It's almost like he was you were forming some kind of a, I don't want to say a cult, but it was almost like a mission statement. You know how some companies have that. He had this thing called the concept about the band, that you were going to be different than any band. He even said that if some people don't like you, then you're not doing it right. You can't try to be liked by everybody, right?
That's true, and it really was a mission statement. It really was. We had to have purpose, meaning, destiny, intention, and direction. And so it wasn't just a band that just struck up and we're just, making notes and music and melodies and sounds and harmonies. It did have intended direction and purpose about what we were going to sing, about how we wanted to look, how we wanted to sound, what we wanted to achieve. And so we talk about that in the book.
How did you write the songs? Did the songs come from all different places? Did you all write together?
Primarily, they would start in different ways, but the songs that everyone knows were pretty much written by myself, Maurice, Al McKay, and Larry Dunn. And then later on, David Foster, Allie Willis.
So lots of different people. And who had the most hits? You?
Well, I think that probably Maurice, because he was probably a contributor on most of the songs.
Okay, because there would be more than one contributor on a song.
Yes.
What's your favorite song of yours? The one you're well, I'm going to ask you two questions. What's the one you're most proud of, and what's the one that did the best commercially?
Well, of course, if it goes to number one, that can't go any higher than that. So, yeah. I'm a co-writer on Shining Star.
That's the name of the book, too, yeah.
And sing a song, and Devotion, and Reasons. The first song that I ever had recorded that I was a contributor on, I gave Maurice the idea for the song Evil. And he really, really showed me exactly how you can flip a song, as we call it. He'll take the idea that you have and really flip it and transform it into what it was, what it became.
One of the songs I love so many of your songs, Philip, but one I really like is September. Do you guys charge more to play gigs in September?
That's funny.
Good idea, too.
I do have a confession to make, that when September was first played after we did it, I thought it was a pretty silly song.
Turned out it was a good song.
And it was, and I turned out to be as wrong as I could possibly be.
Well, an easy lover
I love the song now, but I always have to tell that in interviews that I said, That's stupid.
Philip Bailey in Los Angeles. Got your book. We're going to put it on our website, Philip. It's nice chatting with you. All the best. We'll see you in Seattle twice. Hopefully you can come in the studio. We'd love to visit with you. All right, there he goes. He was on a satellite tour. He didn't have any time.
Damn.
Oh, man, there's stuff I couldn't get to in the book.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he gets inducted. Paul McCartney introduces him.
Wow.
Some people thought Earth, Wind, and Fire should not have been in because they were... Actually, people said they were disco, and they hated disco.
No, those guys weren't disco.
No. But at the peak of their fame, they were blowing so much money that he tells about their stage. Like, they built a fake stage with a basement underneath it, and they had all these elevator risers and lowerers, so the bands, and they had these huge fog machines, so band members could disappear
go.
and
Yeah,
pop out back up on stage, and they would open up the show. They had all these pods, because I think that movie Cocoon was out or something. They had all these pods, and the pods would open like on Star Trek, and the band members would walk out. And they were just, the outfits they wore, the glittery outfits, $20,000 for an outfit at a show.
Jeez.
These guys they made Kiss look small as far as
That's
the
right.
scope of their show goes. It was huge.
But a Kiss looked like a football, guys going to a football game,
Yeah.
painting their faces.
And he has done so much more than just
I don't
Earth.
mean to put those people down.
No, they're
of course.
fine.
They're
Certainly
good
not.
friends, the 12th
Certainly.
man. Yeah.
Certainly.
We ran out of time, but the song he did with Phil Collins, Easy Lover, he
yeah.
got
It's
a
a big,
Grammy
huge
for
hit.
that.
Yeah.
This guy has done a lot of songs with other people, too.
Philip Bailey. I didn't ask him about all the stuff in his book about all his women. You know, he had he was a fan of the women.
Yeah, well, you and the Secret Service, because these guys these are the first band that Obama had play at the White House. And if this book had come out prior, they never would have got through the door.
827.